here on the How to Do It Marathon, live at lordcat.com. Also on live365.com, look for Radio Dead Air for the live audio version. Also, we're on Mumble, the Mumble server, lordcat.com. You can listen in, and if you have a question, just post it to the Mumble chat, and maybe we'll unmute you, and we'll get you in on the live stream. And we'll see you in a little bit of our next break here. Oh, man. Starting to get to me now, Nash.
But the time?
Yeah. Oh. Looking to move, too, so. Oh, that was good. Take a break for a little bit.
Whee.
So how are things going with you and J.O.?
It's going okay right now.
Good. Good. Always good to hear. Don't like never a good thing when things start taking a shit.
Yeah.
What else we got? God, you know you've looked everywhere when you're looking in cities like Ford's Prairie, Washington.
Why are you looking in cities like Ford? What are you doing?
I'm just looking to move somewhere, that's all.
Huh?
Just looking everywhere is basically it. But there's Tacoma, there's Seattle proper.
Kansas.
Dude, didn't you hear about the Seattle gigabit?
Kansas, though, much lower cost of living. Still got gigabit speed.
Yeah, that's true. It's a much lower cost of living. My problem is, though, nobody lives near fucking Kansas.
They will. One day. They will.
Well, I mean,
if you build it, they will come.
But do I really want the nerd who's
in their pants?
Do I really want the nerd who's gonna make me watch Big Bang Theory out there with me?
There is no such thing as a nerd who will make you watch Big Bang Theory.
Look up St. Louis Obispo, California. I'm gonna you know where I'm gonna move? I'm gonna move that doesn't have a place that doesn't have state income tax. Does that sound? Or one that has a lower state income tax than mine, and California's not it.
That would be moving someplace like South Carolina. You don't want to do that.
Or I can move to Seattle, Washington.
You'll notice most, if not all, of the states that have low to no income or property taxes are also some of the biggest douchebag idiot states.
Yeah, and you've never lived in New York City, man.
Yeah, you got it bad off with King Bloomberg and shit.
Dude, I'm just looking to move and get away from the East Coast, essentially.
You cannot have your soda in a certain size.
But
why?
you do have to understand
because
Bloomberg
so.
says you're too fat. It's you got to understand when I say I'm looking to move someplace where I have a lower income tax, I'm moving out of New York City.
True.
My options are basically limited to not New York City and not the state of California. That's basically what my options are.
Don't you want to be ruled by the Arnold?
Don't want what?
Arnold's not in charge anymore.
No, Arnold's not in charge anymore.
Arnold's out. He's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Nobody tells me this.
He fucked his maid.
Yeah, he fucked his maid, and then they were like, boo, you fucked a maid, boo.
Well, it's not just fucked a maid, it's fucked a maid, had an illegitimate bastard child, and didn't tell Maria.
It didn't tell anyone about it until the bastard child was 18 or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why he's in movies again.
Yeah, because he's kind of desperate for the money at this point. He's got a whole lot of paternity to deal with.
Couldn't keep you. That's the biggest problem. Like, why can't these big macho actors keep their dicks in their pants?
I know, right?
I don't get it. Like, what's so hard about it? Like,
if you must, okay, this is I've never understood. If you're not happy in the relationship, you want to get a little strange. You got two options. You talk with your significant other about, let's open this thing up, and if they say no, bye. That's the honorable thing to do. You leave. You don't try to have your cake and eat it too. That's a dick thing to do. You're an asshole, and when they leave you and take half your shit, they're justified. Just be cool, be straightforward, be upfront, don't lie about the shit, and you're golden. even if you leave, it's not okay. You left, but at least you were honest about the shit. You didn't cheat on somebody. You didn't lie to them about it.
That's a shame, Lord Cat, that you're not looking to move to Cali. But I understand the problems with taxes. It's you just got to understand. I don't want to move to a place that's already charging me out the ass. I pay 70% of my income in taxes, both to federal, to the state, and to the city. It's ridiculous. I need to move someplace else where I'm not spending that much fucking money in taxes.
And that's because both California and New York, they're
broke,
freaking
desperate.
Finances. Yeah, their finances are all fucked.
Yeah. And so they place more emphasis on taxing the fuck out of New York City, so that's just so much fun.
You know what?
Wait a minute, hold on. How does Washington State stay afloat and it doesn't have personal income tax? Oh, wait, they charge the fuck out of corporate.
You know what they should really do?
What's that?
They should let New York and California default, and then just split it up among the surrounding states who are willing to pay for parts of it.
Well, you do have to understand, though, that New York City would become its own state, and it would probably end up being its own fucking country, the power it has.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem with that happening. I'm serious. If you did it right now with Baron von Bloomberg, he'd probably split it off into its own country for fucking financial reasons.
Bloomberg land.
He'd probably call it Bloomberg land. He'd probably call it New York country, Bloomberg founding.
Okay, well, yeah, he might be able to try that, but you know what he doesn't have?
What's that?
Enough of a military to make that shit stick.
Have you seen the NYPD? We have a thing. We have a thing called the Terrorist Action Unit, the Counterterrorism Unit. They have full auto weapons and tanks.
They don't have an F-16.
They don't need an F-16.
They might not. Well, they will if the U.S. government goes, boy, fuck no.
No, well, yeah. I mean, if they might, but I at that point you're talking about possibly endangering the lives of U.S. citizens, and who wants to be the one to take the egg on the face, Obama or who would want to be the one to take the egg on the face first, Obama or Bloomberg?
Considering how much everybody hates Bloomberg, it would be Bloomberg. I am the god here.
I am the mayor von Bloomberg. Thank God he can't run again. He couldn't convince his buddies to overthrow term limits forever.
Thank God. Oh, there will be dancing in the streets, I'm sure.
Anyone else.
You could elect you could elect a dog, and everybody be like, yes, Mayor Sparky will save us.
You do have to. You have to understand when it comes to like a standing army. I mean, the NYPD isn't just seeking to have its own unmanned drones, it has unmanned drones. It's the city. I need to get out of it. It's like I feel claustrophobic in the city. It's ridiculous.
Unmanned drones.
What?
I thought they were unmanned drones.
Well, I mean, considering how responsible some of these cops are, yeah.
I told you about when I was visiting Lindsay. And she turned on the news. She's like, "Well, let's see who the cops killed today.
Let's see who the cops shot today." I don't know. In a couple of the recent ones, I can excuse them. Like the guy who was crazy and coming after them with a knife. I'd be like, "Well, you're getting shot."
Okay, but there's getting shot, and then there's how many times they shot him is the kind of scary part.
Yes,
that's what they're trained to do. They're trained to put him down. If you're gonna fire on him, kill him.
Did they really have to reload though?
No, I mean, you can come from that from a political point of view and be like, "Oh, that's disgusting," and then you can come from my point of view and I'm like, "That's fucking hilarious." You reloaded and shot him again? Holy fuck!
Yeah, I understand they had to put him down, but did they have to fucking reload?
Oh my god, yeah. Oh man, that was.
And from a taxpayer standpoint, that's just inefficient. They're wasting bullets.
Yeah, that's just wasting money. I mean, what are you doing?
And also, everyone kind of has a chance to not hit, which is, like, in front of the Empire State Building, might not be the best idea.
Yeah, the NYPD generally doesn't open fire unless it's, urgent. Unless they have to, absolutely have to, I mean, they generally train their officers.
But when they do, shit.
You fucked, man. They ain't gonna fucking. Oh,
3 hours later, when they're completely out of ammo.
Well, I think we've got a very nice, tasty pile of goo here. Let's incarcerate it. Alrighty, you about ready, guys?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay, gonna run one more ad, and then we're gonna go. And welcome back to the How to Do It Marathon alongside Mark and Nash. I'm Jason. This is hour number 5 of the marathon, and I'm feeling it, Nash. I'm feeling it. How about you?
I'm still good.
I mean, I'm good. I'm starting to feel it. I'm like, 5 hours now. I'm starting to get the little antsiness. Just wish it would go by a little sooner. But hey, we've got more questions and more answers for you guys. Al Hazard, a guy who registered just to ask how to do a question, posts this. A while ago, I was putting a new hard drive on a friend's computer. The system in his question is kind of old, ran an original Pentium 4. Sadly, I don't have the motherboard model number handy. No SATA, good old IDE ribbon cables. Upon putting in the new hard drive, the machine went through post and promptly came to the conclusion that it didn't have any hard drive. I went through the usual troubleshooting steps. The master-slave jumpers were set correctly. I hadn't forgotten to plug I hadn't forgotten to plug a power connector in somewhere, etc. For no reason I can actually think of, I swapped the drive's IDE channel with the CD-ROM's drives, and lo and behold, the problem was solved. Do any of you have any idea what could cause this? I've never been able to even hazard a guess. A more experienced technician came to the conclusion the motherboard was haunted, and God help me if I ever run into this thing again when working on an older system. I know exactly what was going on.
Poltergeist.
No, in fact, the motherboard in question had a master-slave setting for each of the IDE channels.
Yeah, you have master IDE and slave IDE.
Yep. And when you switch them around, lo and behold, the drive that was set to master suddenly worked on the master channel. That was one of the funky things about IDE, was not only did the hard drive and the other drives have the IDE the jumpers, the motherboard itself has an IDE jumper. And it would well, either it had the jumper, it had a BIOS setting, or it was hardwired. It really depends. Usually hardwired, unfortunately. But one would be the IDE master, one would be, everything else would be secondary or slave units. And you would have to hook up your master boot record drive to the master IDE slot. So that's exactly, I think that's exactly what happened there. Or ghosts. I mean, we can go with ghosts, oogie boogie, but unfortunately, I hate to spoil it to you, but that's kind of how the older motherboards worked with IDE, especially in the Pentium 4
some
era.
older motherboards could only have hard drives on the primary and CD drives on the secondary.
I'm sorry, they didn't call it master. They called it primary, secondary, and the older ones needed something with a master boot record on the primary. Otherwise, it just
wouldn't do anything.
Yeah. It's funny how we take for granted how easy and plug-and-play things have become to build a computer. It used to be you had to know these things.
Hey, dude, back in the day, dude, when we got our first CD-ROM drive, had a manually... First of all, the manual was like 400 fucking pages long, and my dad had to manually type in every little configuration motherfucking thing into the config files and reboot the system hundreds of times to get it working so we could play a game called Dominus, and it was the shittiest monster mutation breeding creation game you could ever think of, but we loved it because it was on CD-ROM. It took him days to do it.
Oh, you had to know which way to put in a floppy cable, because if you did it wrong, any floppy you inserted was deleted.
Yay!
No, my first CD-ROM wasn't even IDE. It was had a controller that was built into the sound card.
Oh yeah,
I remember those. Yep. That was my first one.
Like, why the sound card?
Because it was the easiest thing to put in there to build a controller onto, I guess.
And also because CD audio.
Well, because the CD audio was also cheaper too, because there were CD-ROMs, early ones, that had dedicated oh fuck, what was the slot called? Oh shit, I had it in my head. Not PCI. ISA slot. Yeah, they had dedicated ISA cards, but they were fucking expensive. So that's why Creative packaged CD-ROMs with their sound cards.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I can't believe that, just to get a stupid CD-ROM working. Oh god.
Oh my god, the effort. The fucking effort. And also we could continue playing Sierra games. Because before the CD-ROM, the software industry lost its collective minds because all we had were floppy disks, 1.44 megabyte floppy disks.
Yeah. I
remember King's Quest V came on like 20 floppy disks, and we had Drive A and Drive B, and we were whipping out the fucking disks to Drive A and Drive B. You had to be a ballerina to fucking make these games work. It was crazy.
The best thing I had with those was like one It was Windows, but somebody put on the label wrong and switched label between 13 and 16. It was like, put it in, and it was like, no.
Oh yeah, you remember Windows 95 on floppy?
3.1, but God,
No,
this was
Windows 95.
Yeah, I had a floppy version.
God.
There was available on floppy.
Oh, floppy disks were insane. Absolutely insane. They were great for back in the BBS days when you wanted to pirate, like, fucking Alf teaches math, or Old Dogs Go to Heaven. But that's about it. That's where their lifetime usefulness kind of came to a screeching fucking halt. And then the floppy drives were kind of revitalized because you could make quirky, interesting videos making music out of them on YouTube. Okay, he's got a second question here.
Good for.
Well, that's not all they're good for. I'm thinking of getting a USB floppy drive and putting in my car PC.
I have a USB floppy drive.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Well, the reason I'm thinking of putting it in my car PC is to just fuck with people and be like, yeah, check this out. And you pull out a floppy drive and it's got like a short MP3 on it or some shit.
Remember Windows XP trying to set it up on a RAID or SATA system?
Ooh.
You had to actually get a floppy drive from somewhere.
You had to get a floppy drive somehow just to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah, then Windows Vista came along. USB stick. I was like, yes, prayers.
Remember, I still remember back when we were building computers, like, do you really need a floppy drive? And then you were like, oh, if I want to recover anything, I'll need a floppy drive. Fuck. And now you can just boot straight from a USB stick. Oh, man. So awesome.
You kids don't know what it used to be like.
You don't remember. You don't know the old days. You just don't know.
Get off my fucking lawn.
Get the fuck off my lawn, kitty.
Hey, son of a bitch.
You dumbasses with your tablets, you don't even know how the fucking thing works. I could tell you from the back of my hand how I can make my old 2400 baud modem dial up and connect to the old Sierra Online network. All right? I remember the AT codes for that, bitch.
Oh God, AT codes. Oh, Jesus.
Man, dialing and hearing the modem actually dial out too.
Yeah.
Those days are long
I could
gone.
determine speed by.
Yeah, you could determine its speed by how it sounded.
You knew if you had a shit connection or not.
God, remember when 56K first came out and your ISP had first installed 56K, and every time you dialed in, you were like, but wait a minute, that sounds just like my 33.6 sound. Oh, I didn't connect on high speed.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember when 56K was high speed. I remember when 33.6 was high speed.
And you better hope that the copper in your neighborhood was good enough to do it, because if not, it didn't fucking matter what modem you had, you were stuck at that 2400 or such.
Yeah, I was
or 14.4.
Yeah, we always had a 2400 baud modem. My friend had a 14.4 modem. And so he would send me all the stuff he downloaded from the BBS, so I wouldn't have to download it from the BBS.
Okay, for people who don't know what we're talking about,
oh yeah,
if your cell phone doesn't have the 3G thing in it, if the 3G doesn't show up, and the 4G doesn't show up, and the LTE doesn't show up,
you're on the
E
1X.
show up, then that speed halved. That's what we had to.
How fast? Hang on. How fast is a 1X cell connection?
Was 9.6 kilobytes a second, I think.
How much is that in bits?
Might be ISDN speeds, I think.
Wow, ISDN speeds.
Even still, ISDN speed, holy shit. Compared to what we had to put up with?
Let's see. Oh, okay. The CDMA 2000 is what it was, or 2.5G, which is.
Oh, I'm talking the GSM one, but okay.
Well, CDMA. I mean, the CDMA GSM one. It's going to be 1X RTT was basically here in the United States.
Man, I would have freaking committed murder to get ISDN speed back in the
God.
day.
Oh, that would have been great, wouldn't it? Oh, Jesus. Yeah. ISDN speeds back in. I remember ISDN. It was like the internet was everything and everywhere. You could go anywhere and do anything on the internet instantly. Yeah. Back when you were in like the 2400 14.4K baud modems. Oh man.
Also, it was a time where you could switch your provider by calling a different number. Was kind of great.
Oh, wow. The 1X standard supports packet data speeds of up to 153 kilobits a second.
That is monster.
Wow. We're talking about 2,400 bits per second. 2.4K bits per second. Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm writing the AT code just to connect to that. That's amazing that it's that's like 2,400 is like the fucking size of the TCP/IP header nowadays. Oh man,
Physics, yes.
Evdu came along and it bumped it up to like 3 times that much or some shit like that. That's crazy. Oh, I'm sorry, just reminiscing. It just amazes me how far we've come in terms of bandwidth. It's just absolutely amazing. And then by the way, bless you, and then we get the bullshit that, we're out of bandwidth and so we have to data cap. Fuck off, you lying cunts.
No, and no. You're lying.
You want limited bandwidth? Let's go back to the 2400 baud modem era. That's when teletext and video text actually looked like really smart standards because you had what seemed like infinite bandwidth on TV. That's when you Computer Chronicles, man. Remember Computer Chronicles? They had the download of the day. You had to play back the video on your computer, and it would with a special program the computer would download the data on it because it was something like with the video it was something like a 5 megabit connection. Oh man, it's just complete and utter horseshit. These data caps, they complete lies, absolute fucking lies. Oh man, where the fuck were we? Oh yes, questions. Sorry, sidetracked for like half an hour there. I apologize. This one's for Nash. I recently bought a cheap point-and-shoot camera, a Canon SX160IS. It takes some video with, and feed my probably hopeless wild dreams of coming up with a regular web show to produce. Being a $200 point-and-shoot video, quality is manageable, but predictably subpar with plenty of fuzz and ghosting from fast motion. Obviously, the best solution would be to buy a more expensive camera, but I know next to nothing about photography and/or video, and was wondering if it might help to stop letting the camera auto-set every variable, and if so, which setting I should be mucking around with. If you want first-hand experience from me here, especially with my camera and this camera, there's one thing you really want to muck with, and that's the exposure. Bumping it, I've noticed that with some digital cameras, webcams, and some cheaper cameras, the exposure is actually controlled by the onboard processor, and that tends to slow things and bandwidth down tremendously, and so you get weird ghosting artifacts when the exposure is bumped up a bit. So you may want to play with that. That's just my own personal experience, though.
Honestly, though, with a camera at this price range, your best solution is getting a more expensive camera. You can play with those settings, and you might get some slightly better results, but nothing miraculous. It is what it is, man. At that price, it is what it is.
You could do what I did and maybe go with like a used camera at the $200 price range.
Oh yeah, a great thing to do. eBay. All right, here's a really good trick to getting a decent camera for a decent price. Go to camcorderinfo.com. They have wonderful, in-depth reviews on all sorts of camcorders. Now, you look at their reviews from 2 years ago, and you see what the top models were then. See which ones they rated the best, then take that model number and go to eBay and find someone who is selling that camera. You will get a huge deal on what at the time was a top-of-the-line camera. 2 years is not a big deal, a long period of time in cameras. I mean, the big jumps they've made in camcorders has been means of storage and storage space and all that. That's not going to affect performance that much. It's just going to affect how it stores the data. So your best bet is to use that and get a used one, and you're going to be just fine. It's going to look great.
It may not have auto post to YouTube and auto post to Facebook.
Right, yeah.
Oh well, boo-hoo. Excuse me,
Some
our next
people
question...
really like that.
Say that again, Mark?
Some people really like that. Same people that are angry at Instagram right now.
Yeah, they're the same people that like to use Instagram. You know who those people are?
Idiots.
They're the people who are not going to use Instagram in another year, and they're going to be on something else. So, fuck them. Raymer asks, Merry Christmas! The video cable on my Magnavox Odyssey 2 needs to be replaced. It's dead. And I found this site that can help me do just that, but there's one problem. They don't say what kind of cable I need to buy other than RCA-style video cable. And as you guys probably know, there's many versions of RCA video cable, so I'm wondering if you guys can identify the cable in this picture. Step 4 in this picture I'm talking about.
Okay.
You want a phono cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally a standard RCA style phono cable.
Yep.
That's all it is. It's just a standard RCA style phono cable. It's the old style or the new style. Both of them should work. It's just because the RCA style is basically an industry standard at this point, or was. It's it's fine. It'll be a tight fit with the modern ones, especially if they're like gold plated or stuff like that. Go to like a flea market or something. Get an old RCA cable there. And be fine.
Yeah, it'll work. You're all set. You don't have to stress too heavily on this one. RCA is RCA is RCA.
It's literally a piece of copper. I mean, there's nothing special about it. There's no silicon in there. There's nothing. It's not like Thunderbolt or anything like that. It's
and isn't that just suck? Because used to be you just get a wire and you were done. Now you have to get this special $50 wire from Apple for the lightning connector and all. What used to be just a fucking wire and the fucking thing would fucking work.
The problem is we're still using copper, and that especially when you consider USB 3, when you consider the throughput of Thunderbolt or Lightning, whatever the hell it is. When you consider its throughput, the error correction is insane. So you need to have some logic on board that corrects as it goes through the wire. It's just we are reaching the saturation point of thin, small copper wire, and we're probably going to need to move to something similar to like an Ethernet cable
coaxial
style. What's that?
Ethernet or coaxial.
Yeah, or coaxial, something like that. I mean, we're going to need to move to something like that in order to keep progress going because that HDMI.
I think USB is already twisted. Already.
Yeah, already twisted pair, but we got. I mean, think about what they're doing with Ethernet and 10 gig Ethernet, fiber optic even. I mean, we're probably going to be moving to fiber optic in another couple of generations. I mean, it's not going to be that far. All of our connectors are all going to be light based because, I mean, we are reaching a saturation point with what we can do with twisted pair cable.
Cheap SPDIF fiber optic kind of style.
Yeah, well, even if it's cheap though, it's a cheap fiber optic cable can carry 1,000 times more. A cheap single link fiber optic cable can carry 1,000 times more data than 10 gig E can. So
yeah,
it's we're eventually going to reach that saturation point. It's all a matter of at what point does the copper plus the logic circuit equal more than just the dumb fiber optic cable. That's exactly that's when we'll make the switch. I think it'll happen in another generation or two because we're combining. Think about what we're doing right now. We're trying to combine, or at least Apple is because they're out of their fucking minds. They're trying to combine everything: Ethernet, video, all the other connections in one cable, audio, all that in one cable. Because that's the Apple way, and whatever. I don't care. I mean, listen, hey, one cable would be very nice. Don't get me wrong. It's much more simple. But you're really, really stressing it at 1080p. With 5.1 surround sound, 7.1, even 10.1 in some cases surround sound, and we're talking gigabit Ethernet now with Google Fiber and Seattle Gigabit. I mean, you're talking a lot of data on copper. That's a lot of data to ask out of copper, and it has served its purpose. But say that again.
Thunderbolt was supposed to be. When it was called Light Peak, was supposed to
supposed to be fiber optic based. It was supposed to be light based, and then went to copper for some reason. I don't remember why.
No, Intel kind of couldn't get it cheap, and then they asked Apple to help them make it cheap, and kind of that's.
So there you go.
That's an oxymoron on its own.
Well.
Yeah, ask Apple to make something cheap. Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, the next connect. I mean, excuse, excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised if the next connector from USB 4 or 5, or whatever the next one, the next standard they need to ratify is. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's